Three. Oops. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Ruin an Hour, a safe place to talk about anything from sobriety, depression, addiction, anxiety, balance of life. My name is Kyle Gray. We are live every week, usually around Wednesdays. We go live for an hour, and it's a safe place to talk about anything. Today, we got a really special guest that came on, my good friend LUSH ONE.
Or since you're Kyle Gray, Nicholas Hines.
Yeah, I feel weird saying avocado in this format.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lush, if you guys know, is a great friend of mine. We've known each other for a really long time.
Going on 17 years.
Yeah, it's been a while. But I thought it'd be really amazing for him to come on right now and talk about where he is in his life, in his journey. He's been through a lot, to say the least. And I just kind of wanted to give him this platform, not only as a gift to everybody out there that's followed him as a fan, but also as a friend too. So yeah, man, how's life going?
First of all, beyond how's life going, I really want to preface this by, I feel like, looking back and analyzing a lot of the content I've done around my recovery and relapse, particularly my relapse. A lot of people will make comments about it being attention seeking, and I kind of had to take a step back. Not that comments dictate reality, but sometimes you'll read something that resonates and will spark some accountability within. Yeah. And I've realized that it has a certain accent when I complain about whatever situation I'm in, considering my upbringing, consider the fact that I grew up in a good home and had a lot of advantages that other people didn't have. And there's a lot of people that, are drug addicts that are on Skid Row, they're still on the streets. I've never been a Skid Row junkie, you know what I mean? I've never been homeless before. I might have couch surfed, I might have stayed at the homie's crib for a while, but I've never actually been full-on homeless. And I attribute a lot of that to the privilege I grew up in, and that's the only thing that separates me and the person, outside of Starbucks with a loose cup begging for change. And I'm cognizant of that, and I'm aware of that, and I'm not saying that to garner any sympathy. It's more the opposite. It's to realize that me complaining about certain things, or what can be perceived as complaining about certain things, the accent that it has due to who I am and where I come from. But the reality is, I've said it several times on this platform and others, that addiction does not give a fuck. Just like cancer does not give a fuck. You know what I mean? And it afflicts everybody, regardless of race, age, socioeconomic status, gender orientation, nation of origin. None of these things matter.
Yeah.
This is the way that some of us are wired. Mm-hmm. And obviously, our paths go in different directions based on the decisions that we make. However, at the end of the day, I'm an addict. It ain't on me, it in me. And the decisions that I've made are the decisions that I've made. And I'm not coming from a place of regret. Yeah. But my whole intention with my content, and this, was to always be vulnerable and transparent. Mm-hmm. And me being somewhat of a melodramatic person or just a theatrical person, my victories, I'm gonna make them a little bit sweeter. My lows are gonna be a little bit more, devastating, just because that's just the dualistic and extreme nature of my being and how I am as a person. So I kind of, me having that realization makes me kind of want to just look at things from a different perspective and just see how I come across to other people in that regard. And it's kind of made me look back and damn, this lush crash out and me clickbaiting certain content that I did in order to really, just because I know how to work the YouTube algorithm to the best of my ability, it's actually in poor taste in a lot of ways, and I have to take some accountability in that regard. Before we dissect any of the nuances of this relapse, I kind of wanted to just put that out there and
Okay.
on the table. You know what I mean?
That's big of you to, I guess, admit. And like, I think it is important, like, if you see like a comment, because, you know, most of it can be pretty much like a vacuum, but sometimes there is something that sticks out and you're like, okay, that has like a bit of merit to it and some truth. And that's big of you to like take that and kind of have it resonate with you.
It could just be, and it doesn't have to necessarily be like a YouTube comment. It could be a comment that I hear somebody say,
Yeah.
a friend or whoever, and they're just like, damn, you over there crying about your motherfucking relapse. And I'm just like, damn, I'm over there crying about a motherfucking relapse. Like, I look like a bitch right now. And obviously, like, again, it's coming from a genuine place with me.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
Yeah.
you know, do I want to lean into the negativity, or or am I crying out for help, or what's my true intention here?
Yeah.
I think it's important for me to check my intentions.
Yeah.
Before, especially when there's people watching, and there's a lot of people that watch this platform who have contacted you, have contacted me, have contacted others who've been on here. Like, thank you, this helped me get sober. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And I think there's a lot of people that are probably disappointed as a result of my relapse, and that conflates it all and adds additional guilt and shame that are typically associated with a relapse.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that. I understand that a lot, as you being like a figure of sobriety and like inspiration to a lot of people out there. You got a really big fan base, you know, and like your sobriety journey was public and a lot of people followed it, you know? So I understand that completely. And I understand also like you feeling like that everybody would be disappointed in you, which I feel like is kind of unfair. I feel like that's unfair. You're allowed to make mistakes like anybody is, you know, and I feel like it's unfair to hold you to this like perfect streak that you have to, and you're like, it's not like you've been sober for like a decade.
Nah, 3.5 years.
3 years, you know, it's like, it's very new, you know, and this, and especially for you, you're like 40, you know, it's like a very new thing.
40 plus too.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm Don Julio years old.
So it's not like this is like something that you've like are trying when you're younger. It's like something that you've tried before, and like it's also, you know, relapsing is part of the journey, they say. So it's like, at least from like my perspective, I think there's a lot of grace that like I think should be extended your way, you know, and it's not something that should be like harped on or like, you know, like used as like ammo against your character, or like your intent or morals, or like even who you are as a person, because you're still lush to me. You know, nothing changed.
Right.
You know, it's like, if anything, it's like I understand you completely. It's like I understand why you relapsed. It makes sense. You know, it's like
I am you, essentially. We're all the same when it comes to this. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
We like, and that's why I empathize with you greatly over a lot of things. Not even just this. It's like I see myself in you in a lot of different aspects. So I understand it completely, and I think it's important for like the world, and especially a lot of your fans, to see that too. Like for me to say that to you too, as somebody who is sober, you know,
right?
It's like I'm not disappointed in you at all. I'm not disappointed.
You're also a pretty on the more sympathetic side of things. You're like an empathetic human being.
Yeah,
you know
for
what
sure,
I mean?
for sure.
So a lot of people aren't going to look at it like that. There's anyone with the pull yourself up by the bootstraps mentality is going to be like, stop acting like a hoe. You feel me?
But that has nothing to do with you. That has nothing to do with them.
But they're also not wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a perspective.
Yeah.
You know, there's not any like right or wrong. It's just really what's the most healthy. And I think the healthiest thing is to bestow grace and be like, yeah, sure, like that happened. Like what are you doing now? You know, are you trying to keep going down that path? And whatever choice you choose is like, I guess there's no right or wrong.
Right.
It's just about like why you're having those thoughts, why you're having those impulses, you know, and I feel like a lot of people that would help for them to hear it too, because, you know, damn near everybody that's trying to get sober, it's not like they do it on their first try and just stay sober all the time.
Right.
It's like to see somebody like you that they respect and like look up to relapse, and then also like maybe to come back, or like even like you the other day when you came over and watched with us, like when you watched with Geechee, you weren't smoking, you weren't drinking, you were on the podcast with them. There's fucking alcohol right there.
Yeah.
You know, you weren't like, hey, pour me up some. No. They're drinking, you're not.
Right.
And you're jovial, you're having a good time, you're laughing and stuff like that, and still there's like hella comments of like Lush is like as always.
Of course, but like during the height of my sobriety,
yeah, people were still making those comments.
Yeah, like literally, like I would, you know, we're talking 2 years, 3 years, 3.5 years
know.
into my sobriety
I know.
when
Dead
I'm
sober.
at my healthiest ever,
Yeah.
luscious tweaking.
Yeah.
I have a fucking really boisterous personality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm a flamboyant like persona, and just as a person, like I have always had just awkward movements and just like, hey,
Yeah.
God made me the way He did. You know?
Yeah, totally.
Some people got fucking Down syndrome. You feel me? I got fucking Down syndrome, fool. Like,
Let's fucking go.
but look, it's impossible to fully enjoy a cup of alcohol with a head full of 12 steps unless you have a side order of guilt with it. And that's essentially,
Yeah.
the number one thing I can say that I've gleaned from this experience.
Yeah.
Now, I said it on this platform and several times. It's not a matter of if I'm going to relapse. It's a matter of when.
Yeah.
Unless I'm actively working a program.
Yeah.
Now, like, I don't know exactly what kept me sober. Was it going to 12-step meetings? Was it doing service work? Was it working with other addicts and carrying the message? Was it whatever, or was it all of the above is really the answer. But as soon as I took my foot off the gas,
Yeah.
was the beginning of several events that led up to me finally making a very cognizant, conscious decision to get fucked up.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. So you're saying this wasn't like okay, all of a sudden randomly.
This was
like,
not an abrupt
I wanna
decision.
smoke. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
First of all, like, if you really analyze it, although I was clean and sober, I would say the last year and a half, like damn near half of my entire sobriety, I wasn't really sober. I was more dry.
Yeah.
I was white knuckling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Why do they call it white knuckling?
Because you're like, you know what I mean?
You're just waiting until you can use again, right?
Because I wanted to fight Nazis. Like,
Amazing.
yeah, no, that's what it was. Like,
Yeah.
you're just like, just clenching your fists and just
Yeah.
like getting by day to day,
Yeah.
and not getting fucked up, but you're not really like what you do. The things that you do to take care of yourself, the literature you read, the workout routine, the meditation, like all these different exercises the motions you go through on a daily, that's you being sober.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
If you just stop doing that shit, you know what I mean? And we're like,
Yeah.
but you still weren't drinking eventually,
Yeah, it would probably unravel.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So-
that's why I get it. I understand for sure. So what was like? You stopped going to meetings, like what?
So
kind of
really,
deal?
like, I think so. Something that was always told to me was anything that I put above my recovery and my higher power, God, I'm gonna lose.
Yeah.
And I started putting a lot of things above that. I would say it started around the time of the launch of GTX.
Okay.
Like, and I had been, everything had been pretty much charmed from the time I got clean. Now, I took certain things for granted. The first 4 months of my sobriety, I'm in a treatment center. Like,
yeah. So it's like impossible. Well,
it's not impossible.
but
People are getting fucked up.
Yeah, but it would
you
be
know
like
what I mean?
really difficult.
You're gonna get
Yeah.
kicked out. You're gonna get in
Yeah.
trouble. Like,
Yeah.
everything's encouraging you to be as sober as possible. But obviously, it was still a conscious decision. There's
Yeah.
people that fucking walked down the road and went to Walmart and
True.
copped dope, or went to
Yeah.
the train station, whatever the
Yeah,
fuck. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like,
Word.
we're stealing medicine from the med tent. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was sober in that motherfucker. In fact, like of course, it's the big pharma, the medical industry is going to encourage you to get on as many pills as possible. I'm like turning down. They're forcing me in the
Yeah.
beginning. Like, you need to be on anti-seizure medication, like, because of your benzodiazepine dependency. Like, we can't have you seizing out here. Blah 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 blah. But
Yeah.
as soon as I was medically cleared, I'm like, get me off everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I did. Like, I was very, very. They tried to until the day I left. And when I'm consulting with the on-site physician and all that, and psychiatrists, like, they're like, "Are you sure you don't want gabapentin? Are you sure you don't want?" And I'm like, "Nah, fool, yeah, I want it, but like,
Yeah.
no, I don't want anything." I went to treatment to not take drugs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, so I was so like hyper vigilant my first year or so of sobriety that I wouldn't take a fucking Tylenol or an Advil.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like nah, fool. Like I don't need that. So those first 4 months I'm in a safe environment.
Yeah.
The next 2 months I'm in a sober living house.
Yeah.
They're testing my piss randomly every couple days. Now again, there's a liquor store right down the street. 70% of my fucking roommates were relapsing, coming back on crack, getting, all kinds of shit. I made the decision to stay clean, but it's, once again, a very encouraging, nurturing environment for my sobriety and my recovery.
Yeah, totally.
I'm going to the Salvation Army and speaking to addicts. I'm, doing Zooms, like speaking at other recovery centers and sharing my experience, strength, and hope, the whole nine. I'm working a very, very, very diligent program at that point.
Yeah, word.
After that, I moved back to Pennsylvania with my ex. And, she's sober. She doesn't do anything, and where we lived was kind of in the burbs, deep in the burbs. So in order to even like go to the corner store, she would have to drive me. I don't have a license at the time or anything. Really, I could have driven her car, but she was like, "No, you can't drive my car, Nick." You know what I mean? So we I just made her sound like a Jewish mother, but it's the East Coast accent.
Yeah, totally.
But she so like we're like conjoined twins essentially at that point. So and there's no way, even if I wanted to, I couldn't get fucked up. In fact, like all alcohol from the house was removed, and all that shit, and like she was really like on my ass about that shit.
Yeah.
Which safe environment. I feel like as soon as I touched down in LA for the King of the Dot, not the S1 but the Grand Prix. As soon as I flew into LA and I'm with my old homies, like I literally, and this is not a critique or admonishment of them in any capacity, but like I'm within a half hour, fools are blowing weed all around me. You know what I mean? Like within a couple more hours, I see cocaine, I see alcohol, like blah 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 blah. Like I'm choosing to willingly put myself in that, and it's not affecting me because like through my studies of the steps and the rehab literature that I've indulged in, like I know that I could go anywhere as long as I had the I'm spiritually fit to be in that environment. So I wasn't tempted. Or are those potentially planting the early seeds of my relapse? Like I don't know, but I had no real that was like the first. It's kind of like when a baby's in utero and you're like in the that was my first breath back in. This is what life is really like. You know what I mean? Like I'm no longer in utero. I'm back in society.
Yeah. And
it then starting to go to battle events and just being in the world of hip hop everywhere you go. That it's everywhere.
It's
weed
it's and alcohol.
Completely normalized to the point where like you're weird if you're not doing it. You know what I mean? Like and I'm weird and not doing it. And
me and you both. It's like we're around it all the time.
Right. So but all the promises of recovery started coming true. Like I started to garner trust back from my family, from my friends, from my significant other, from my lady at the time, from the battle rap community. Like people had at one point revered me for like my business moves and the events that I was putting on, and my character as well. And then I kind of just became like a caricature of myself, and it was like this: either you love him or you hate him. But like, he's done some shit in the past, but we're not really like looking to see the next trend in battle rap or the next big move through LUSH ONE. That was kind of, but that started to like the people were like, oh, like he's holding himself really well. Hosting, I mean, compared to before at least, I mean, like hosting these events and organizing things and my day-to-day interactions with people like you and the other battlers and other staff members, and I'm, gaining that respect back. These are the promises of recovery, What happens next? I start making money, you know what I mean? And I've never been good with money.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, like, okay, when the promises come true, and I had these thoughts early in my recovery, like, is it gonna be cool? How's it gonna feel to be sober, like, quote unquote, balling out in, like, you know what I mean? Like, or, and my version of balling out is like having some racks and, you know, being able to buy some things I like and, or, you know, eat where I want and go to a nice hotel or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, like, is that gonna feel the same, or is it gonna, like, I'm literally like, and then when I got to that level again, I felt great. I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But I became more focused on pursuing that. And people that are close to me, like my brother and other people in recovery, are like, this is when you need to double up on your recovery. Like, the busier you get. Like, look, my brother is a CEO of a Fortune 500 company.
Yeah.
He has 30 some odd years, damn near 40 years sober or whatever, right? Like, he was like, you might be busy, but you're not busier than me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I find time to go to meetings.
Yeah.
I find time to practice my recovery.
Totally.
So he's like, once you're doing good, that's when you should be working harder. But me, I stopped doing that. And it almost, when I would speak at 12-step meetings or hear myself share, it almost became this, like, repetitive cycle almost, because I was saying the same thing. Like, I know I need to work a more diligent program, blah, 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 but, like, I wouldn't, and I just kept complaining about it. But I'm not really changing any of my habits, despite people around me trying to encourage me this or that. And then, of course, there's all these other people around me that they're not pulling me into the direction of using, but the door is right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, word.
Like, bro, to be honest, I could walk 2 blocks away from here right now and get fucked up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I know. It's very close.
It's very close.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but, and at that point, what winds up happening? I lose everything. I lost everything that I had put above my recovery, my relationship, my, you know, my job, my finances, everything. And then I just kind of, like, was in this shame spiral, self-deprecating, you know, like, and then I wound up, a lot of people, and me, myself included, I even said, like, I'm seeking validation, but it really wasn't validation. And I'm not sure if it was you that pointed this out to me or somebody. It was like, it's not validation that you're seeking fulfillment. Like, you get validated. You know what I mean? There's enough people that been telling me I'm great or this or that for years, and sure, it feels good. And that feeling does become intoxicating, especially when everything else seems like it's falling apart.
Yeah,
totally. But it's really like, fuck validation. I want fulfillment. I want to feel comfortable in my own skin without anything else.
Yeah.
Without having to grasp towards any externals, which obviously it's a lofty ambition. I'm not the fucking Dalai Lama, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
And I'm pretty sure he just did some janky shit. So you know what I'm talking about. Like, like, you know, and it's a high standard to hold oneself to. However, you know, like, that's what wound up happening. I lost everything, stayed sober, and then at a certain point, I took a look at my life and was like, this isn't why I got clean.
Yeah. I'm
looking at the circumstances in my life, and, like, other my girlfriend, who pretty much, if it wasn't for her, I don't know how down the rabbit hole of addiction I would have gone or would continue to go and spiral down towards. Like, everything else I'm not happy with. Not happy with how I look. I'm not happy with my career. I'm not happy with my finances. I'm not happy with any of my interpersonal relationships. Like, this is the opposite of why so it's like, I've used the reference, the really tasteful reference of a pile of shit, which your life becomes when you're an addict, inevitably. And you could either continue to shit, or you could start trying to fucking poop or scoop it away and, reclaim your life. And and I was just like, you know what? Like, I just ate 3 burritos. I'm gonna fucking take a firme masa right now, and, like, I didn't give a fuck anymore. And I want to clarify. I have messed around with, like, pills a couple times, but I'm not currently addicted to any substance. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I've been smoking weed, been drinking, you know, like that's primarily. Now, of course, people are like, no, he's on fentanyl, he's on meth. Like, you can see what I look like when I'm on these other drugs, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah.
And I'm not claiming that I'm sober, you know what I mean? I'm not. Like, but, and I would say, as of now, my ambition is to at least get California sober, is to just be smoking weed, you know what I mean? Like, and just,
what about alcohol, like, isn't working for you?
look, I'm not gonna lie to you, like, and I don't want to mislead people with like this. I'm not unhappy right now. I'm actually like, I feel really good.
Yeah.
I'm the happiest I've been in since I got fired by No Jumper by a
Yeah.
significant margin. My
Yeah.
life, my trajectory, everything is on the up and up for the first time. And now these might be simple, humble victories that other people might look at and be like, "Oh, you still ain't shit. You're still a fuck up." Like, but to me, like, I'm slowly trudging my way
Yeah.
back up to where I want to be.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I'm not gonna pontificate on marijuana's benefits or lack thereof, and the 12 steps programs admonishment of that.
Yeah.
So, because that's like too political of a discussion, and I don't want to mislead people on their journeys. But what I will say is another part of my relapse, which led up to it, was there's a few times I got prescriptions. Now, first of all, and this is all under the supervision and approval of my 12-step program and sponsor and all that. And there was like, I got put on psych meds.
Yeah.
Now, did me start taking them add to the, did that perpetuate the relapse, or did me abruptly stopping them possibly add to it, or was it a combination thereof?
Yeah.
And then, being given other prescriptions that I probably should have not taken regardless, but I got to free lapse a few times because a doctor said I could and my sponsor said I could, or you know what I mean? Like, these are all factors that I don't want to ignore or leave that out.
Yeah.
Now, is marijuana better or worse than psych meds? Like, again, I think that's far too lofty of a conversation for this piece right here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
really the most important thing is, I feel like, is what you're doing right now working for you? Do you feel like you're healthy?
I feel like I could be healthier, but I'm genuinely happy at the moment, I can say. There's things I'd like to improve.
Yeah.
There's things that I'm stressed out about.
Yeah.
Like, I could be doing a lot better, but I'm not. I'm not attributing this to me smoking weed. I'm not saying like I fucking sparked up a fucking spliff and I felt like Drake. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, smoke the chronic and I'm fucking be real. You know what I mean? But I am more fulfilled. I attribute a lot of that to my relation. I mean, my relationship is a big part of that. Me like finally finding the right team to create content with, and with the Mad Deep podcast, and still continuing to build my Lush World channel, and all of just like I'm happy with where I'm at, the direction I'm going, and like I feel like me going to the gym as rigorously as which I'm not fucking. I'm probably the weakest fool in the gym.
No, but you're in there.
But I'm going to that motherfucker.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like
alone too, by your own accord.
By myself.
That's discipline.
Early
right
in the
there.
morning, like.
So that same discipline you have to go to the gym is the same discipline that took you to the 12 steps and AA.
100%.
So it's like you could very easily exercise the same discipline,
Right.
Because it's like you said, it's not like you're stepping in the gym and then just each time you step out feeling like the Rock, or like it's not like you can like see the changes that fucking fast.
No.
It's a long process. So I think you are demonstrating a lot of discipline that you could also demonstrate too with like sobriety that you used to probably have too.
Absolutely. It's all like, I mean, look, before I went to treatment, I didn't even, the concept of making my bed, like I used to have like, I grew up like my mom would make my bed for me, and then like at a certain point I have like girlfriends and wives making my bed. And
totally.
It's like basically wiping my ass for me, and I had to like learn a lot of like childhood survival skills
Yeah.
as an adult. Due to, again, this isn't me trying to garner sympathy. It's just the literal, and if that's pathetic, I know. Addiction.
Yeah, you're not saying it's something to like be admired. Or
Pitiful, incomprehensible demoralization. You know, I went through that and have had to learn. And something about my current girlfriend that I really like is the difference between our relationship and every other woman I've been with is, and this isn't to say that she's not nurturing and loving, because she is, but she's like a lot more militant, and like she's like, get up off your ass, like take your ass to the motherfucking gym, like get your shit together, like you look fucking crazy out there, you know, like she'll tell me what's up in a way that I've never had a significant other do, or maybe if I did, I wasn't in the right frame of mind to hear it. But you know,
so it's accountability
and motivation and true self-awareness, and you know, like in a way that her strict Latina like upbringing instilled in her, and she's almost militarized in the way that she does certain things, and that's rubbed off on me. Pause. She does that as well, but in a very effective way, and I think that's kind of been the balance. That if it wasn't for that, like I don't even know if I'd be able to. I probably wouldn't be here chopping it up with you right now. I'd be like, you know, just lounging. There was like a good month where I was in a deep funk and depression. You could see, like, I stopped doing any content. You know what I mean? This is like shortly after the BOTBX.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just like, it was a dark period for me right there. But you know what? Like, in the darkest periods, like, that's when my higher power, that's when the Lord, that's when my inner strength, that's supposed to be the guiding light. I need to, and you know, like, I don't want to continue to dwell in the negativity or ask for like, oh, Lush is this amazing guy who overcame these unfavorable circumstances. No, I ain't special, motherfucker. I'm just another drug addict who's struggling with addiction and doing my best to survive every single day. And I probably had it better than a large percentage of the people watching that. But again, like, the disease does not discriminate.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And there's nothing that, like, look, like, money can't buy health. It might be able to prolong your life in certain circumstances, but at the end of the day, like, bro, like, unless you're like Mr. Burns and you're gonna get like cryogenically frozen to like, we found the cure to 17 stab wounds. You're almost, you know what I mean? Like, like you're gonna fucking die. You know, and I've read there is a letter that I don't know who it was, but he was a billionaire, and he was an email that he sent to his closest friends, and that wound up circulating around the internet. And it's like, upon my final resting day, like I realized the one thing that money couldn't buy me is health. And like, money can't fucking free you of your addiction. You might be able to have a bigger cushion to land on, or send you to a treatment center, or this or that, which helps greatly. But at the end of the day, it's that inner strength, it's God, and it's that self accountability that's gonna keep you clean. It's working a program, or else you're not gonna fucking. And I'm not saying it necessarily has to be 12 steps. You don't do 12 steps, and you know you stay. And you stay clean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. But I remember you said something to me that like really resonated with me. It's like I do the 12 steps kind of without doing the 12 steps.
You do essentially. You do. Like,
I think being of service to others is a huge thing that will help people stay in a higher vibration.
And you don't, like, you, for the most part, try to surround yourself, like the people that we see appear on Watch, especially at this point, are people that you like revere and are close with and want to be around. Yeah, they're your friends. You're not like, sometimes there might be like people on battle rap that you're not as close to that, you know, pop up here and there, which is dope because it's awesome to have these other, you know, personalities and their opinions. But for the most part, I've noticed that you've kind of like tightened your circle. Pause.
Yeah, I mean, also it's because, you know, I'm out in Van Nuys and, you know, it's not convenient for people to get to me anymore.
Kind of, but I mean, like, like a lot of people live in the motherfucking valley.
Yeah,
like,
true.
You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah.
It's not. I feel like it's a conscious decision that you've made to kind of
maybe
not necessarily isolate, but to you're fucking with whose energy you want around you. And
Yeah.
you're setting firm boundaries for yourself in that regard. And, like that's, you do a lot of, you practice a lot of recovery principles. I don't want to say unintentionally or inadvertently, but like, by conscious coincidence, if that makes sense.
I feel that. I appreciate that. So you said we'll address the chat in a second, guys. You said that you want to work towards getting California sober, so you'll still smoke, but alcohol is something you kind of want to rid yourself of.
I don't think it's necessarily adding to my life in a particularly positive way. I mean, first of all, it costs a lot of money to drink. I don't want to be driving drunk. You know what I mean? Like, all that kind of shit. I look at content I create when I've had some drinks and I'm like, ooh. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I feel you on that. So basically, it's just like when you're ready, you'll probably like start going to AA again or something like that.
You know what? I'm not 100% sure. Like, I know that the door is always open with the 12-step programs, and I could go in whenever I want. As long as I'm going with the pure heart and pure, head, whatever. Like, the door is there for me to walk through, and it's always there for you to walk through too. No matter what, and you will be embraced, and those people will show you love. Like, they're not gonna a lot of the fear of judgment is my own. Like that's literally my mental obsession and aspects of my addiction trying to coerce me into not going down that road again. Like,
of course,
they're all gonna laugh at you. You know what I mean? Like, it's that voice, like that inner, that the devil on the shoulder, the inner monologue of negativity.
Yeah, have you let go of a lot of that recently? Because I know that, like, at least with the no jumper, you leaving that job, there was a lot of need for validation and fulfillment with that. Have you kind of let go of like the need to constantly be in everybody's good graces? And like, it seems like now you're a lot more just like comfortable. Like, some people are just not gonna like what I present.
I genuinely don't give a fuck at this point. You know what I mean? And that's not to say that I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm gonna do what I want. Like I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna create the content I want to create. I'm gonna live the life that I want to live. I'm not, as long as I'm not hurting anybody else. Like, there's no reason for me to really care ultimately. Like, because there's enough people that rock with me that I can have a self-sustaining career based that will pay all my bills if I play if I play the situation right. Based on me presenting whatever version of myself resonates the most. While still being true to myself, and that's kind of that's what I'm navigating as we speak. And but I do feel like a lot better about it, and I'm not gonna like allow any you can say whatever you want. I laugh at that shit. When people leave negative comments on my channel, I heart that shit. Like, if it was about you, or someone was like, that fool's a fucking, I'm not gonna heart it. But if they're like, you're a bitch, I'll heart that shit. I give zero fucks. You know what I mean at this point. Because I know what it is, and I also allowed myself to become this like conduit for the frustration of the masses, and they're like this like public whipping boy, essentially. You know what I mean? Like, and was described as a lolcow, or you know what I mean? Like, and when I got to that, when I realized, like, damn, I'm doing that to myself. This is me putting myself in this situation and perpetuating this narrative. Like, it's time to just like, you have to snap out of it at a certain point. I had to snap out of it at a certain point.
Yeah, totally. I think that's really healthy. You guys got anything you want to ask Lush? I see the chat going pretty wild. Lush, if you want to address anybody in the chat, feel free. Desi, what up? I see you in here. Nunya, great game. ACP, Elk Bomb, how's everybody doing? Omar, what up? Lush, if anybody has any questions, comments, if you want to comment on anything you see immediately.
Yeah, no, and bro who said, like, I wish wouldn't say he gives zero fucks. It's not true. I do give a fuck, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. He's commenting on negativity. Yeah.
He cares a lot about a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I'm like, the negative.
If you didn't care, you wouldn't look so put together.
Right.
You know,
the negative feedback that I'm going,
Yeah.
that I receive does not affect my mental health to the degree that it did before.
yeah, that's great.
And there's no comparison. Like
Yeah.
the way that I carried myself and the need to try to like gain approval from others.
Yeah.
That I don't feel that anymore. And if some of my colleagues ain't fucking with me, I don't give a fuck. I'm not gonna go out of my way to fuck with anybody who don't fuck with me. If you fuck with me, cool.
Yeah, totally.
As far as,
Do you think you're being too hard on yourself? It's okay, we're all human.
I don't necessarily. I think I'm being pretty level-headed. I think that I was hard on myself. I think that I have been hard on myself, but at the same time, accountability is important. Like I'm not going to allow myself to just spiral out of control in this self-perpetuating cycle of negativity. You know what I mean? Like, so it's important to acknowledge the flaws and want to do better. Like when you go to the gym, you're not like, oh, I'm such a fat piece of shit. You're not like, you know what I mean? Like okay, we're not going to make this about your body dysmorphia.
Yeah, totally.
You're not.
I get what you're saying, though. For sure.
Ben Stiller sniffing the pizza, you feel me, in
Yeah,
Lobo
eating
Gym.
broccoli.
You know what I mean? But you see, like, oh, I could improve in this regard.
Yeah,
you know
for
what I mean.
sure.
I want to, and that's how I'm looking at my life. So
Yeah.
like, and when I create content, you know, when I do music, when I do podcasts, when I do interviews, I'm trying to improve.
Yeah, good.
And I'm trying to improve my mental health.
That's great. That's really amazing. Pixie, what up?
Pixie.
You got a whole community who genuinely wish you the best for your wellness. JB, appreciate that. Yeah, here's an interesting question that I think you could kind of shed some light on. Frank White asks, Lush, have you ever thought about stopping content for a while? Sometimes the lifestyle is just as bad as the drugs.
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. And I did. I fell back severely. Like I took a whole. I mean, I maybe did 1 or 2 pods in like a month and a half time, like, or longer. You could like I needed to take that step back and recalibrate, and I feel like that was necessary. Where I'm at right now, I feel like I have momentum. You know, I feel like I want to do the opposite. I'm leaning deeper into the content, and
because that's what brings you fulfillment.
And this is what makes me happy, and this is what's keeping my light bill paid at the moment.
Yeah.
So you know, if anything, I want to go harder. I did a pod before. I dropped a video before. I'm dropping a video on my channel every day. We're doing mad deep drops every day.
Good.
We're doing 3 pods with you right now. This is like,
totally.
Yeah.
For sure.
So this is what I'm on. But like there is definitely, I feel like the time period when I was on No Jumper, coincidentally, which is the reason why a lot of y'all motherfuckers even know who I am, was probably a time where I shouldn't have been on camera as much as I was.
No, I don't think you. I mean, you can view your journey however you see fit, but I don't think you should ever be ashamed of anything that happened on that. Besides, like maybe like taking a little bit of a look on like why the relationship ended, you know, and
absolutely,
and your accountability on it. But you being on camera, I thought you, for the most part, did a fantastic job.
I appreciate that. No, but regardless, just I'm speaking to my mental state and where I was at emotionally and things like that. Like
I feel that.
Like I probably, if there's a time where I should have fell back, it was then. But I couldn't because I'm getting offered lucrative contracts and opportunities that I've worked towards.
And the validation from that was like a drug too.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah.
Of course. It was like it was the perfect storm for the ultimate crash out.
Yeah, for real. Chris Petty, much love from Atlanta to you and Navo. Both of you guys are amazing people.
Love you, Chris. Love you, Chris.
Hell yeah, Chris. Good to see you in here, brother.
That's my homeboy in my King Five Fingers voice. Free C-Mac.
Let's see. You need your health. Fuck the internet. I mean, yeah. But he is taking care of his health. He's at the gym every day. He's eating good. He's got a woman that loves him. She's pretty popping, man. She's pretty good.
It could always be better.
I'm jealous.
What was like pretty?
Yeah.
pretty good.
This is kind of funny. I didn't know who Adam 22 was until you went on No Jumper. So hey, there's a little bit of people that I like that. I thought it was interesting when we did the No Studio with Malik. Shout out to Malik.
Yeah, great guy.
He knew you from No Jumper,
yeah,
not from Battle Rap, and I was like, oh, that's very interesting. There's probably a lot of people like that, you know.
Well, there's definitely a lot of people that know me from Battle Rap and not No Jumper. I think that, and there are people that a lot of people have told me like I started watching No Jumper because of you, or watched it more, or started rewatching it.
I mean, a lot of the culture,
but people to not know who Adam was previous to me, like, is definitely the minority. You know what I mean?
Sure,
like,
for sure.
Like, there's no like comparing levels of fame that between him and I, but you know, like, that's cool, and hopefully you wound up enjoying some No Jumper content because No Jumper is sick as fuck, you know, like, like I was, that's why I was like a kid in a candy store being over there, because not only was it like did I watch that channel as a fan for years, but had a job where I got to talk about hip hop and get paid for it. And you know, if I mention, I was just talking about this yesterday. I remember like we're having a really dope debate one day, and it was me, AD, T-Rail, and Adam, and we were all. Adam was basically saying that in hip hop culture, the biggest stars rise to the top always, and we're all disagreed with him. And then I was like, if that's the case, and then I brought up a rapper named Cash Kid from Detroit. I was like, Cash Kid is a better rapper than 95% of the people that are successful. So like, how is this? And then the next day I get like, hey, you want to interview Cash Kid with me? I get a text. You know what I mean?
Cool,
like, so I'm like, fuck yeah. You know what I mean?
So awesome.
Shit like that. It was a great experience.
Yeah, that's
you know?
really
like,
fucking cool.
Things like that are dope. You know, being able to reach out to people I admired or wanted to chop it up and be like, hey, you want to come on No Jumper? It had a different accent. Hey, do you want to come on my channel that has 25,000 subs? It don't hit the same, you know? But still, I'm able to do it, and we got some dope content coming out, and we dropped some fire recently, shedding light on the whole SGV Chicano rap movement, which is so hot right now, and to be at the forefront of, you know, doing interviews before the larger platforms, and then like the larger platforms then picking up these artists. It's like, fuck, that gives that feels great.
Yeah, that's amazing. Hell yeah. Do you have anything you want to say to the chat or anything like that?
I appreciate each and every one of y'all that supports me and are striving to do greater things for yourselves. Hopefully, this didn't just kill time, but it ruined a motherfucking hour.
Let's go. Hell yeah. Lush, who's the most famous person you've ever met?
It's a good question.
Assassino.
Yeah, Assassino, for real. The oxymoron.
Yeah.
Who's more famous, Drake or Al Pacino?
Oh, I don't know. That's a.
What about Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I think
Drake is more famous.
No, I think Arnold. You could show a picture of Arnold to any. I don't know actually.
Generationally.
Yeah.
But would Gen Zers know who Drake or Arnold is? Like, maybe not. A lot of them.
Not.
Like, I get shocked at some of the references that go over because I have, you know, like there's my podcast team. We have people that are older than me. There's someone that's 44 years old, and there's someone as young as 23.
Yeah.
And like was born in the year 2000.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of the references that I'll make like fly over this fool's head. And
I know it is crazy. I see like kids that are really young wearing like Tupac shirts now.
Yeah, but that's like but these are like the same fools that were like wearing Misfits shirts.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I know. I know, but it's like
buying at Hot Topic.
That it's that now that I'm like, oh, that's
well, shit. I mean, fucking like people like. I got my young homies asking me, like, do you have any of your old FUBU from back in the day? Did you used to wear Sean John? Because all that shit is fashionable now. Like, the early 2000s shit is, like, becoming, like, ironically cool again. I mean, fools are wearing Von Dutch again and Ed Hardy. Even, like, this is, like, kind of a wave for the past few years. Even, like, when I started bringing back the jerseys and all that shit, you know what I mean? Like,
do you think Affliction is ever going to come back?
Bro, like, the nature of, like, it could in, like, ultimate, like, just like ironic. There's nothing douchier you could wear. You know, like
hell yeah.
Is there a way to
bring it back?
Is there a way to do it without looking like a neo-Nazi? I don't know.
I don't
you feel
think
me?
so.
Like, yeah, it's difficult. But yeah, that's kind of the nature of the way things work. So I would say it's either Arnold, Al Pacino, or Drake. Those are the first three that pop in my mind.
Yeah, and Drake knew who you were.
Drake who knew who I was.
Man, pretty fucking amazing.
The other ones knew who my dad was. So.
Word. But yeah, guys, appreciate everybody tuning in. I really appreciate Lush for coming by and being transparent and honest. This ain't easy to do, so I want to commend you on that. And yeah, dude, I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you too.
Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate that.
Ooh.
SI. Lush, I've been following you recently. Got a question about your recovery. Has your view on addiction changed? Harm reduction.
No, I don't. Like, my view on addiction has not changed. Like,
yeah.
1,000% what the principles of recovery that I learned, like, they're still, like, instilled within me. Like, there are certain, again, I don't want to get too political because this literally winds up me respecting traditions, like the 11th tradition in particular of the 12 steps. I'm not gonna get too deep into it, but yes, my viewpoint remains the same.
Remains solid. All right, guys, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. We're gonna be live doing a watch with Geechee in probably like 30 minutes. On Twitter, hit us up for what battle to watch. I think we might have chosen a battle, but if we haven't, we'll be reading the mentions there. Follow Lush. Go follow Lush World, the Mad Deep podcast. He's got plenty of content coming out.
Daily.
Let's go. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll be live next week.
And Shaheem the Rugged Child randomly followed me on Instagram, and I felt like that to me is more exciting than like meeting Al Pacino. Like,
let's go. All right, guys. I'll see you in a bit. Peace out.